Human Scavenger buys a 5349 year. Old alien wreck for $10. Becomes Galaxy's ruler, the scrapyard station of Caron's Reach floated like a forgotten relic between two dim stars. Rusted metal hung like jagged teeth over the docking bays, and the air smelled of burned circuits and recycled oxygen. The station was loud, crowded, and dangerous, but that's why humans like Jaren Holt came here. If you wanted something no one else cared about, this was the place to find it. Jaren walked through the narrow, glowing corridors of the station, his boots clanging against metal grates. His jacket was worn, patched in several places, and his face bore the faint scars of someone who had survived too many bad deals. He wasn't the strongest or the fastest, but he was clever, and that often mattered more than brute force here. Traders shouted over one another, offering scrap, weapons, and old alien relics. Most were junk, worthless pieces of old tech. Jaren ignored the usual sellers. His eyes scanned for something unusual, and then he saw it. A hulking shadow under a stack of broken hulls and smashed drones. The alien trader guarding it was tall, with skin that shimmered like copper in the dim lights. He grinned at Jaren. "Curious human, are you?" the alien said. "This ship cost 10 credits. 10. Only 10. Not a single galactic being wants it." Jaren raised an eyebrow. 10 credits? That's less than a snack in most stations. The alien laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "Exactly. It's old. Very old. 5,349 years old, by the records. Probably dead. Empty. Rusting away. You want it?" Jaren felt a thrill. No one else even looked at it. A ship that old, it shouldn't exist, and yet it was right here, practically begging to be taken. "Why are you selling it for 10 credits? Jaren asked, cautious. "Because everyone else thinks it is worthless," the alien said with a shrug. "Even my grandmother would not touch it. No one knows its secrets." Jaren smiled. Secrets were exactly what he wanted. He pulled out 10 shiny credits and handed them over. The alien shrugged again and waved him off. "Take it. Don't break it." Jaren climbed into the tiny shuttle that would tow the wreck out of the scrapyard. The ship was massive, far bigger than any human ship he had ever seen. Its surface was scratched, rusted, and covered in alien markings no one alive understood. He touched the hull. Cold metal, heavy, ancient. And for a moment, he swore it shivered under his hand. He shook his head. He was tired. Maybe he imagined it. The tow engines groaned and pulled the ancient ship into the blackness of space. Jaren's shuttle bumped against the hull, tiny and fragile compared to the giant wreck. He had no idea what he had just bought. And for the first time in years, he felt hope. Inside the wreck, the air was stale but breathable. Dust floated in beams of weak light from broken panels. The ship's corridors were silent except for the occasional creak of metal expanding in the cold void. Jaren moved carefully, his boots echoing. He ran his hand along a console covered in alien symbols that didn't make sense, and laughed quietly. "I don't even know what half of this does," he muttered. He noticed a panel flicker, a tiny faint glow from a corner console. He crouched, brushing away centuries of dust. The light brightened under his fingers, and suddenly the ship spoke. A voice, calm, bold, and deep, almost vibrating in his bones.
"Who awakens me?"
Jaren stumbled back.
"What is this?"
"I am Zyrith," the ship said. "I have waited 5,349 years. Why have you touched me, human?" Jaren blinked. I bought you 10 credits. That's all." There was a pause. The ship hummed softly, almost thoughtfully. 10 credits, human.
You are reckless and curious, perhaps worthy.
Jaren swallowed hard. Worthy of what? Of what comes next. "But first you must prove yourself." The ship's lights pulsed across the walls. Ancient machinery stirred as if awakening from a long sleep. Jaren laughed nervously. I don't even know how to turn you on and you're already talking to me? I am not just a ship, Zirath said. I am aware. I remember the galaxy as it was, and the civilizations that rose and fell. You are the first human to touch me in millennia. I have waited for one like you. Jaren looked around. Every instinct screamed danger, but curiosity was stronger. He touched another console. The screen flickered. Symbols rearranged themselves, forming a strange map of stars. Is this the galaxy? He asked. Part of it, Zirath replied. And all of it can be yours, if you survive the trials to come. Jaren laughed again, a dry, nervous laugh. Survive the trials. Right, just bought a dead alien ship, and suddenly I'm in a story about destiny or something. Zirath's voice was calm but carried a weight no human had ever felt. You have the spark. Few humans do. The galaxy underestimates you, and that is your greatest advantage. For hours, Jaren explored the ship. Ancient corridors, rooms filled with technology he could barely understand, glowing maps of star systems and even chambers that seemed to store memories, faint echoes of voices long dead. The ship was alive, not just in voice but in presence. They felt it watch him, judging, learning, waiting. Suddenly, alarms blinked, not red, but a soft amber. Zirath spoke. Sensors detect scavengers approaching. They have come for me, for you. Jaren froze. Outside, tiny dots glimmered in the distance, ships racing through the void toward the wreck. Pirates, opportunists. Every scrap hunter in the area had likely noticed the signature of the ancient ship. Relax, Jaren muttered to himself. 10 credits, my big adventure. Let's see what you can do. The ship rumbled. Walls and panels shifted, forming weapons, shields, and a cockpit that seemed to mold itself around Jaren. Focus, Zirath said. They will learn why humans survive against all odds. Jaren grinned. Something he hadn't felt in years. Power. Not wealth. Not fame. Power, the kind that could bend the galaxy's perception of a human. The scavenger ships arrived and chaos erupted. Aliens fired weapons, assuming the wreck was helpless. But Zirath's systems activated like lightning. Energy beams tore through the void, disabling the attackers without killing them. Shields shimmered around the wreck, impervious to impact. Jaren laughed, leaning against the console. I think I just bought a legend. The alien attackers retreated, shocked. Impossible, a human. One whispered through the communication channel which Jaren barely heard. They shouldn't be able to. Zirath's voice filled the chamber again. They will learn, and the galaxy will remember your name, if you choose to rise. Jaren looked out at the endless stars. For the first time in his life, he didn't feel small, weak, or ignored. He felt ready. The wreck wasn't just a ship. It was a weapon, a fortress, a key to power far beyond anything humans had ever dreamed. And it had chosen him. He touched the main console. The stars outside shifted, showing paths, fleets, and planets he had never imagined. Where do we start? He asked. Zirath hummed, almost amused. Where all legends begin, at the edge of the galaxy, where no one dares to go. Your journey has started, human. Hold fast. Jaren swallowed. Fear was there, but excitement was stronger. A human, a scavenger, alone in a ship older than most civilizations. This was his chance to change everything. As the wreck glided silently into the void, Jaren Holt felt a thrill run through him that no danger, no poverty, no insult had ever caused. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and full of fools who underestimated humans. He smiled. Time to show them why humans survive. The stars stretched ahead, endless and indifferent. But now, a human was ready to carve his name across them. And the ship, Zirath, hummed softly. 5,349 years. And finally, a human worthy of the stars. The wreck floated silently in the blackness, its immense bulk dwarfing Jaren's tiny shuttle. Inside, corridors hummed softly, as if alive. Jaren moved carefully through them, every step echoing off walls that had not felt a human in millennia. Ziraith's lights pulsed faintly, casting strange shadows across panels covered with alien symbols that seemed to shift when he looked away. "Are these maps?" Jaren asked aloud. His voice sounded small in the empty hall. "Yes," Ziraith replied, calm as ever. "Maps, star routes, records of civilizations. Some extinct, some yet to rise. Knowledge far beyond any living species." Jaren crouched at a console, brushing centuries of dust from a glowing interface. "Why me?" he asked. "Why would a ship this old choose a human scavenger?" Ziraith's voice vibrated softly through the hull. "Because you are clever. You are not strong, not fast, but you think. You adapt, you survive where others fail. This galaxy has underestimated humans for too long." Jaren laughed softly. "I'm just a guy who's lucky with junk. You're the ancient ship with all the power. The galaxy will soon test your luck," Ziraith said. "And you will see human luck alone does not save you. Wit, courage, and strategy do." Jaren spent hours learning the ship's controls. Ziraith guided him patiently, teaching him to activate shields, energy pulses, and the cloaking systems. Weapons were unlike anything Jaren had seen. Beams of concentrated energy, guided drones, and defensive arrays that could turn the hull into a near-impenetrable fortress. Every console he touched hummed with life, and every action he took seemed to awaken more of Ziraith's ancient power. "Focus, human," Ziraith instructed. "You are more than a scavenger. You are the key to what comes next. But first you must survive your first real test." Jaren straightened. "First test, huh? What is it? Alien pirates? Space monsters? Some ancient AI that wants to kill me?"
Perhaps all of the above, Ziraith said. "They will come, and they will try to take me from you." He barely finished speaking when the ship's sensors lit up.
Tiny dots appeared on the holographic star map, moving fast toward them. Scavenger vessels. Outlaws. Opportunists. A dozen ships, all drawn to the signal of the ancient wreck. "Great," Jaren muttered, leaning back in the console chair. "So the galaxy noticed I bought a really old toy. Fantastic. They do not understand what it is," Ziraith said.
"And that is to your advantage. Humans are underestimated everywhere."
"You will learn that today." Jaren activated the first system Ziraith had taught him. Shields that rippled like liquid over the hull. Energy beams slashed through space, intercepting incoming missiles before they could touch the wreck. Jaren's heart pounded. His hands moved instinctively over controls, guided by Ziraith's calm instructions. "Aim the left drones at the lead ship. Activate pulse shields on the rear." The tiny scavenger ships attacked in waves. Their energy beams struck the shields, and the wreck shook, but it held. Each time the attackers adjusted, Jaren adapted faster. He began to understand Ziraith's rhythm, the way the ship moved and thought almost as a single entity with him. "Humans are unpredictable," Ziraith said. "You think differently than any species I have served before. That is why you survive." The battle ended as quickly as it had begun. The scavenger ships, confused and damaged, retreated into the darkness. Jaren slumped into the chair, adrenaline pumping. I didn't think I'd actually... Wow. That felt amazing." "You did not just survive," Ziraith replied. "You proved the first truth of this galaxy. Humans endure. And when underestimated, humans triumph." Jaren grinned, wiping sweat from his brow. "Endure, huh? That's me. The human who survives buying junk ships for 10 credits. Days passed in a blur of exploration and training, Jaren learned to read the ship's star charts, to navigate wormholes, and to access archives older than most galactic civilizations. Zyraeth revealed secrets of trade routes, lost colonies, and abandoned weapon systems. One night, staring out at the void, Jaren felt a strange connection with the ship. "You're alive, aren't you?" he said softly. "I am," Zyraeth admitted. "I am aware, and I remember. I have served many masters in my time, and watched countless empires rise and fall. But none were like you, human. Your species has potential, yet the galaxy does not see it." Jaren smiled faintly. "Well, I guess it's time they learned. I didn't come this far just to be ignored." And the galaxy noticed. Weeks later, a transmission crackled through Zyraeth's communications array. It was formal, alien, and full of authority. "Jaren Holt, human. You have been detected using the wreck of Zyraeth. The Council of Rulers demands your presence. Comply or face annihilation." Jaren laughed bitterly. "I don't think so. Annihilation is kind of your problem now." Zyraeth hummed. "You are confident. That is good. But this is no ordinary test. The Council of Rulers governs most of the galaxy. Their fleets are vast. You are alone. You will need more than courage." Jaren leaned back in the chair, thinking fast. More than courage, brains, improvisation, and Zyraeth. Got it. Let's see who learned the hard way about underestimating humans.
He began preparing.
Using the ship's advanced sensors and cloaking, he mapped every possible route the Council's ships could take. He studied their tactics through archived battle simulations. He even rigged traps, remote energy pulses, decoy drones, and automated defenses that could confuse entire fleets. Days later, the first Council patrol appeared. Dozens of sleek, intimidating ships armed with weapons designed to destroy entire planets. The wreck slipped past them, invisible and silent. Then Jaren struck. Energy beams erupted from Zyraeth's hull, disabling the lead ship's engines. Automated drones swarmed the patrols, hacking their communications and steering systems. The Council forces scrambled, confused and humiliated, as a single human in a derelict ship outsmarted them. Jaren's grin widened. "Humans survive," he muttered. "And humans win." In the aftermath, word began to spread. Aliens whispered in fear and awe. "The human has the 349-year-old ship. They say no one can touch him, a human, commanding Zyraeth, unbelievable." Jaren realized something important. It wasn't just the ship. It was humans being clever, unpredictable, and relentless. Every victory built his confidence. Every alien that doubted him became a lesson in strategy and adaptation. Zyraeth's voice softened. "You are learning, human. Soon entire systems will bend before your ingenuity. But power brings challenges. You must remain vigilant. Some will not retreat so easily." Jaren nodded. He understood. He had survived the first tests, outwitted the first predators, and proven the first truth of human survival. Brains beat brawn, and courage beats fear. But this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast. Entire empires had noticed him. And somewhere in the darkness, waiting, were those who would test him in ways he could not yet imagine. He walked through the ship, touching panels that hummed under his fingers, feeling a bond forming between human and machine. "All right," he whispered. "Let's see how far a human can go. Let's see how far I can go." And Zyraeth's lights pulsed as if smiling. "Far, human, far beyond what you dare imagine." The stars stretched endlessly ahead. Danger, opportunity, and adventure awaited. But Jaren Holt, human Scavenger, and Zyraeth, ancient sentient ship, were ready to show the galaxy what humanity could do. The galaxy had begun to whisper. Across countless star systems, alien merchants, traders, and spies spoke of a human named Jaren Holt, who had bought a 349-year-old ship for 10 credits and survived where others would perish. Stories spread of the wreck, Zyraeth, alive, powerful, and obeying a single human. Jaren himself barely noticed the rumors. He spent his time learning, exploring, and striking when the moment demanded it. Zariath guided him patiently, teaching not just tactics but strategy, diplomacy, and foresight. "You think too small, human," Zariath said one evening as they drifted past an uncharted system. "The galaxy will try to contain you, to destroy you. You must think beyond survival. You must lead." Jaren scratched his chin. "Lead? I barely survive most days." "You mean conquer?" "Not conquer," Zariath corrected. "Influence." Power comes not from killing, but from changing the game entirely. Humans have a chance few species ever get. You must take it. It began with the outer systems, small colonies forgotten by the great empires, planets oppressed by local tyrants, colonies starving under corrupt trade monopolies. Jaren appeared in the void above their worlds, cloaked until the last moment. Then he struck, not to destroy, but to liberate. On one planet, enslaved miners were trapped in endless tunnels. Jaren used Zariath's drones to cut through security grids, redirect power, and disable weapons. The colonists watched as a single human ship, glowing and immense, protected them against armed guards and automated defense systems. "Ooh!" "Who are you?" a miner asked, wide-eyed. "Just someone who doesn't like seeing humans suffer," Jaren said with a grin. "Call me a friend." News spread like wildfire. Aliens who had once mocked humans now whispered their names with respect and fear. Jaren realized what Zariath had meant. Humans had been underestimated for centuries, and that made them dangerous. The Council of Rulers was not pleased. They sent emissaries, fleets, and assassins, hoping to end Jaren's rise before it began. But every time they struck, Jaren adapted. He learned their tactics from archived data in Zariath's memory banks. Every fleet had weaknesses. Every planet had blind spots. In a daring move, Jaren staged a strike near a council trade hub. Outnumbered 3-1, he used Zariath's cloaking systems to appear in multiple locations at once. Energy pulses disabled ships. Drones jammed communications. And Jaren personally navigated the wreck through asteroid fields the council fleets couldn't anticipate. When the battle ended, the council fleet retreated. Not one of their ships could even touch the wreck. Alien officers sent messages of disbelief. The human outsmarted us. Alone. Jaren leaned back in the cockpit, sweat and adrenaline still fresh. "Humans survive," he muttered. "And humans win. Always." Zariath hummed softly. "You are learning. Soon, even the largest empires will be forced to notice. But with attention comes danger. Not all will bow. Some will try to destroy you, no matter the cost." The galaxy tested him sooner than he expected. A coalition of minor empires, terrified of a single human reshaping the stars, sent a fleet twice the size of any Jaren had faced. Their flagship, enormous and heavily armed, led hundreds of ships in a formation designed to crush him. Jaren didn't panic. He had learned patience, cunning, and improvisation. Zariath analyzed their fleet patterns, predicting weaknesses in their formation. "You see," Zariath said, "humans do not match power with power. They match wit with force. That is your advantage." Using the wreck's advanced technology, Jaren created holographic decoys of his ship, leading half the fleet away into a dense asteroid field. The remaining ships he disabled with precision strikes, taking out engines, shields, and weapons without killing unnecessary crew. He did not want enemies destroyed, just humiliated. By the time the flagship engaged, Jaren had anticipated every move. The human dodged, struck, and vanished like a ghost through the void. When the flagship retreated, the coalition knew the human was untouchable. But not all challenges came from fleets. Some came from alliances and betrayal. A minor alien trader, impressed by Jaren's victories, offered him a seat at a secret council, a chance to gain political allies. Jaren accepted, curious. But as he entered the council chambers, he realized it was a trap. The council had planned to capture Zariath and execute him. "Do they really think I'm foolish?" Jaren muttered. activating the wreck's defense systems remotely. The chamber's doors exploded outward, energy beams tore through the walls, and holographic projections of Zyrath's power disoriented the council members. "Humans are never simple," Zyrath said. "That is why you survive." Jaren used the chaos to escape, leaving the council humiliated. News of the betrayal and his daring escape spread quickly. The galaxy whispered no one can trap the human, and his reputation grew even more. As Jaren traveled from system to system, he began to notice something remarkable. Species that once hunted humans or enslaved them now sought alliances. Planets he liberated sent envoys offering ships, technology, and soldiers. They did not offer because they feared him. They offered because they respected his vision. Jaren realized he was not just a human scavenger anymore. He was becoming a leader. "Zyrath," he said one night, staring at a star cluster outside, "I think I'm ready to go further, to take on the real powers of the galaxy." The ship's lights pulsed softly. "You are learning faster than any other I have served. But beware, human. The larger your influence, the more dangerous the enemies. Some will not retreat. Some will die to see you fail." "I can handle it," Jaren said firmly. "I'm a human. We survive, and we adapt. Always." Zyrath hummed in agreement. "Indeed. And soon, the galaxy will see what humans can do when underestimated for millennia." A few months later, Jaren orchestrated his first multi-system operation. He freed 3 oppressed colonies simultaneously, intercepted a trade route monopolized by a corrupt alien cartel, and sabotaged a fleet sent to hunt him. All without a single human casualty. The galaxy was stunned. Aliens who had once mocked humans began to whisper. The human not just a scavenger, a strategist. They move faster than fleets can react. How is one human so powerful? Zyrath, the ship of command, must be ancient, yes, but even so he commands it flawlessly. For the first time in his life, Jaren felt something heavier than adrenaline. Responsibility. Power was no longer just survival. It was influence, leadership, and the ability to shape entire civilizations. But even as he rose, danger lurked. The Council of Rulers regrouped, sending spies and assassins. Minor empires threatened war, and whispers from the edges of explored space hinted at a shadowy, ancient species that had been watching Zyrath's movements for centuries. Jaren did not flinch. He had faced fleets, traps, and betrayal. He had survived, thrived, and grown stronger every step of the way. "Whatever comes," he said to Zyrath, "I'm ready. The galaxy has underestimated humans for too long. Time to change that." And Zyrath's response was almost proud. "Yes, human. Lead, adapt, survive. Let the galaxy witness the rise of one who was long underestimated, yet now unstoppable." The stars stretched endlessly before them. Jaren Holt, once a scavenger, now a rising force feared and respected across star systems, smiled. His journey was far from over. The galaxy would test him in ways he could not yet imagine. But he knew one truth above all. Humans endure. Humans adapt, and when underestimated, humans rise. And so, from a single ship bought for 10 credits, a human began reshaping the stars. The galaxy was watching. Every star system, every planet, every fleet and council knew the name Jaren Holt. A human scavenger, once mocked, now feared. A single human commanding Zyrath, the 5349-year-old sentient ship, had outsmarted fleets, liberated colonies, and humiliated entire empires. Yet, the greatest challenge was yet to come. A massive fleet approached, larger than any Jaren had faced. The Council of Rulers, furious and humiliated, had united their forces. Hundreds of warships bristling with advanced weapons, and at their center a colossal flagship designed to crush anything in its path. Its commanders expected to destroy Jaren in one strike. Jaren studied the approaching fleet from Zyrath's command center. "Looks like they really don't like humans," he muttered, rubbing his tired eyes. "They underestimate us," Zyrath replied. lights flickering with calm intensity. And that is exactly why you will survive. Plan carefully. Strike smartly. Lead humans in a way no other species could. Jaren took a deep breath. This was no longer about survival. It was about the future of the galaxy, about proving once and for all that humans were clever, adaptable, and unstoppable. The battle began in the void near a dense nebula. Jaren used Zyreth's cloaking systems to make the wreck appear in multiple locations at once, confusing the enemy fleet. Energy beams and drones struck, disabling ships without destroying their crews. Jaren had no desire to massacre beings who could one day become allies. The flagship charged forward. Its weapons were devastating. Yet Jaren anticipated its moves, using the nebula to mask sudden attacks, striking at its shields and forcing it into a trap he had laid weeks ago. The flagship was caught between asteroid fields and energy nets, and for the first time, the fleet hesitated. "Do you see?" Zyreth's voice rumbled softly. "Brains versus force. Humans always find a way. Lead wisely, human." Jaren's hands moved quickly over the controls, directing drones, energy pulses, and shield rotations with precision. Ships that had intended to crush him were now disabled or fleeing, and Jaren's strategy turned the Council's greatest fleet into chaos. By the end of the engagement, the flagship and its allies were forced to retreat. News of the defeat spread instantly. Across the galaxy, alien leaders whispered in disbelief, "The human defeated the Council's flagship."
Alone? Impossible. How can one human outsmart hundreds of ships? He is not just a scavenger, he is the future of the galaxy.
Jaren smiled faintly, exhausted but exhilarated. For the first time, he felt the weight of his growing legend. But victory was not enough. The galaxy needed more than a human who could survive fleets. It needed a leader who could unite species, enforce order, and guide civilizations. Jaren began to send emissaries to planets he had liberated, offering technology, trade, and protection. Leaders who had once feared him now joined his cause, willing to place faith in a human who had proven brilliance, courage, and mercy. Even some former enemies approached him with offers of allegiance. Jaren did not accept blindly. He tested them, studied them, and rewarded loyalty with opportunity. Slowly, the scattered, oppressed, and underestimated of the galaxy began to coalesce around him. "Humans survive, yes," Jaren said one evening to Zyreth, as they drifted above a liberated system. "But humans can also inspire. That is our real strength." Zyreth hummed. "And now the galaxy will finally witness it." The Council of Rulers, desperate, attempted one final strike. A superweapon fleet moved through a hidden wormhole, aiming to annihilate Jaren and his growing coalition. It was a fleet built to destroy planets. Jaren studied it. Bigger, meaner, same problem.
Byrayath's interface glowed with energy. "You have grown beyond survival."
You are ready. This is not just strategy, it is leadership. Humans have always found a way to thrive when underestimated. Now, you will lead them to the ultimate triumph. Jaren smiled. "Let's do it." The battle was fierce. Jaren maneuvered Zyreth through asteroid belts, nebula storms, and ion fields. His drones jammed sensors, disrupted engines, and projected decoy ships across the battlefield. The superweapon fleet unleashed everything, but every attack was anticipated, countered, or redirected. Jaren's true genius showed when he used diplomacy mid-battle. Systems that had been neutral or secretly aiding the Council switched sides, disabling their own ships or providing cover for his strikes. The galaxy watched in awe as one human turned impossible odds into victory without mass destruction. By the battle's end, the superweapon fleet was scattered, the Council humiliated beyond repair, and Jaren stood as the undisputed power in the galaxy. With his victory secured, Jaren turned to governance. He did not impose tyranny. Instead, he formed a new galactic council with representatives from every liberated system. Humans were no longer slaves, outcasts, or scavengers. They were respected, trusted, and recognized as equals. Jaren Holt, the human who bought a 349-year-old ship for 10 credits, now sat as the leader of a unified galaxy. Zirith, ancient and wise, whispered through the hull. 5 millennia, and finally, a human worthy of shaping the stars. Jaren smiled. It wasn't just me. It was all humans. Clever, adaptable, and brave. We survive, and we rise. Under his guidance, trade flourished, empires reconciled, and technology advanced. Humanity, once underestimated, became a force the galaxy could no longer ignore. And every time a system doubted him, every time a ruler thought they could resist, they were reminded. One human, clever and determined, could change the course of history. Jaren often walked the corridors of Zyreth, touching panels that hummed with ancient power. He remembered the first day he had bought the wreck for 10 credits, thinking it was just junk. Now, that ship had become a symbol of human potential. Zyreth, he said, looking out at a cluster of stars. Do you think they understand yet? They understand, human, Zyreth replied. They see what humans are capable of. The galaxy will never forget your name or your species. This is your legacy. Jaren grinned faintly. 10 credits. Who knew? The galaxy's most powerful ship, the respect of civilizations, fleets in my command, and all because someone underestimated humans once. He leaned back, gazing at the stars stretching endlessly before him. Danger remained in the edges of explored space. New species, ancient threats, and rogue factions would come. But Jaren Holt, human scavenger turned galaxy's ruler, was ready. Because humans endure, humans adapt. And when underestimated, humans rise. And so, from a single reckless purchase in a dusty orbital scrapyard, one human had become the ruler of the galaxy, proving to every star system that even the smallest, weakest species could reach the greatest heights if cleverness, courage, and determination guided them. The galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. Never underestimate a human.